you a really thick plate at 12 inches. In fact, do we have a ruler? Is that a ruler? Or it's going to give you a really deep foot, you know, whatever you want to do with it. That's lots of clay. We do them at about 4 pounds production-wise.
What percentage shrinkage is this clay?
Dillo gives you anywhere from 10 to 12%, but when I'm trying to work on a project that is measurement specific for Dillo, I'm using 12%.
Do you mind moving your water bucket? Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Can I see you now?
Can you do it backwards? Can you turn around?
Yeah.
Can you come over here? All right, so here we go. I'm just going to center. And the thing about centering for cylinders and centering for bowls is you're going to center out to your outside area or where the foot's going to be at least. So this centering is going to be wide and low. Does that say QB on it or does that say QB?
That was just
Ah, shoot, that's my wheel.
Okay, what is
I can do it.
QB stands for Queen Bee, Queen Bitch, or Queen Bridget. Depends on the day. John Valeg gave me that name years ago.
Hilarious.
I like Queen Bridget.
Oh no, Queen of the Universe. You know, it could be QU, but
How do you judge how far to go out?
well, experience is one of them. But you want to be centered out to where you would expect the foot of your plate to be, and probably a little bit further. So if you're going to have a 12-inch throw, is this 12 inches or is it more?
Yeah, it's exactly 12 inches.
It's exactly 12 inches. Okay. So, really? Looks more.
I think it goes to 12.
9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah. Well, it is a hair more
Yeah.
and hair more. Okay. So if you're going to have a 12-inch plate wet, with Dillo White, you end up getting about a 10.5-inch after. That's how much. That's that 12% shrinkage. So I'm going to go out to about where my foot is, and now I'm going to open. So I'm centered wide and low. Now, if I was doing a wide and low baking dish, pie plate, anything that's out, I would be centering out like that, because you want to center out to where the out through your whole bottom. You want to be centered. You don't want to center here and then pull out to here. That's really inviting cracks, big time. Because while you're coming out like this, you're also compressing. So that's going to keep that bottom very strong. So now I'm going to bring the wall. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to compress a little bit more. And that's how I open for a plate. It's more about compressing it down and flat. So see how this, I've got this little bit of a roll here of clay. And as I just compress this, leaving this right where it's at, I'm just going to go towards the inside there and then come back. And there's no prescribed number of times you can do this or where you get it, but I just want to know where my lump of clay is that I'm going to throw. So I'm just kind of working this into where I get this little extra clay out here. Now I'm going to come to the outside and pick it up. And all I did was take my sponge under there like that, pick it up like this. Then to get that flat plate, get that flat rim thing going, I'm going to come over top. And that's why I said you can, by learning to pull up and pull out, it's pulling this way. But I did it with these little bits of finger movement here. So it's really very easy. Pulling plates is very easy because you're only throwing that far. Everything else is about compression.
You know what I do?
What?
I mess with the compression so much that I'll lose I'll get my plates again.
Can you say that again? I can't hear what you're saying.
I mess with the compression and I lose the
I gotta
thickness on the inside and
Catch
center
Bill
my
before he
plate.
goes out.
How thick is that plate?
Huh?
How,
Wait a minute, Kathy. Just tell me when he comes out of the bathroom. That's my husband, Bill. Okay. It's a different Bill. All right. So I'm gonna press here.
how thick is that plate? It looks like it's inch and a half thick.
It is pretty thick because we use that 4.5 instead of.
Oh, okay, okay.
There's the.
Here you go.
Bill, Beverly has a plate of food that she's holding for you. If you haven't been up there yet.
That's your hubby?
Yes. He's working on our land right here. So going back into the center. And I like to have this little edge right here. Just kind of defines the food area.
I love the edges.
And a lot of times I'll come back in and cut, do some designs, whatever. And that's what I thought I'd do. Does anybody have an X-Acto knife? Not? Okay. I know you weren't. Good job. Good job. I'm going to go in the...
It's kind of almost like a concave and a little bit.
Yes, a little, but it's fairly
Not a lot,
flat.
but a little bit.
But a little bit, right. So here's the thing. There's two places you get cracks. The S crack, which we've dealt with, and here at the edge. And part of that is it's like being on a balloon and you've got all these little tiny dots. And when the balloon is small, it makes a solid color. But as you blow it up, the dots get further and further apart. Well, same thing is happening here. The little clay particles are moving further and further apart, and they have water between them, which is holding them together. But there's more water than clay as it goes out like this. Okay, so it's getting to where this is mostly water. You can't see it because it's microscopic, but it gives it a channel to crack on because they're all lined up. So if you come back in here, and you can put your fingers or you can use your sponge, whatever you do. You want it sharp or that might work? No, I don't want pointy. This will work. I think that might work. So what I do is I just come in here and this thumb is flat. These two fingers are kind of got the edges, and I'm just coming in here and just giving this a little compression. And that's sort of, anybody ever make those little hot pads from you? You string the little things over and you weave them. Okay, and then at the edge you had to.
Right.
That's what you're doing. You're knitting the edge over and over so that it stays itself together. So that's it. That's the last thing you want to do is do that. Now there are other reasons we get rim cracks in bowls and in plates, and that is because you're turning them over to trim them. And if they're very dry when you're doing that, while you're pressing down that trimming tool, you're probably cracking your rim. And sometimes the crack happens, you don't see it until it comes out of the glaze. So but you've done it when you're handling it, or you've popped it over too hard or something of that nature.
Well, in the sake of being efficient, when I used to do plates, I would take a bath that was a little bit bigger and, cut it off and then flip it over.
I do that.
Okay.
We call them, that's when you sandwich flip. You sandwich it between two bats and you go like this.
So that's okay.
Yeah, but you would do that when the piece is pretty leather hard. Yeah, we'll cut them and then flip them over hours late, probably the next day we flip them over. And then let them finish, and they dry more evenly that way. So then I'll come in here with my tool and I'll undercut, and this nice long tool lets you get under there without bothering, and see how it pushes it away. If you hold it right, it'll push the clay away and not up onto your rim. Because sometimes you do that and the big blob will go up and mess up your rim. If you use this at the right angle, it'll always pull it away from the piece. Just like I showed you with the two hands, left hand underneath, right hand on top. And I'm just taking this and slicing into it. Point in, but it's flat. You hear it? Flat on the wheel head. And when I do that, I'll go into her a little further.
That is the neatest tool.
It pushes it away. So
How did you figure that? Where did you discover this tool?
I learned how to make those wooden sticks work that way with the angle. And then in about 1981 or 2, when I first started working at Clarksville Pottery, a guy came from England, and his name was, I can't think of his name right now. Anyway, he came over from England, and he was trained in the potteries in Devon. And he had been an apprentice there and got his training there. So he came over and he worked at the studio with Arnie and I got a lot of training from him. So he had what he called a spoon, and the spoon was a rib, and the rib was a piece of that really thick like you make extruder parts out of, okay, that thick aluminum. And it was just a square, and the corners were either sharper or rounder. So you had 4 different